There's an entire slice of people who vividly recall rotary phones ringing in the kitchen and the electric buzz when the first iPhone hit stores in 2007. If you were born roughly between 1976 and 1985, you're on the far edge of Generation X, yet you don't fully align with millennials either, despite constant attempts to squeeze you into one camp or the other. Around 2014, researchers and writers began calling this group Xennials, sometimes spelled Xennials in casual discussions, and sociologists have dubbed it a micro-generation because the narrow window captures such a distinct historical pivot. What unfolded in that precise pocket of time shaped a psychology that's genuinely unique and worth unpacking today. From the outset, your early years unfolded in a fully analog reality. Boredom wasn't something to escape with an app. It was just there, a space you inhabited. You memorized phone numbers because you had to. If you missed an episode of your favorite show, it vanished forever. No DVR, no streaming backlog. Entertainment arrived on a schedule, and absence was permanent. Then, right as you crossed into young adulthood, the world flipped digital, almost overnight. The shift wasn't gradual, it was abrupt and total. Most generations mature inside one technological ecosystem. Xennials lived through two radically different ones during the exact window when identity, habits, and worldview were still forming. Think about the texture of those years. Your teens involved passing folded notes in class, conversations that evaporated the moment they ended, plans made with the understanding of, "I'll meet you there at 7, meant showing up and trusting everyone else would too. No running late texts, no location pings. That built a different foundation of trust, patience, and presence. You showed up because you said you would. There was no safety net of constant updates. By your 20s, cell phones proliferated. Friendster gave way to MySpace, then Facebook, and suddenly there were endless ways to reach someone, yet you still remembered when 3 options, home phone, work phone, or knocking on the door, were all that existed. You adapted without missing a beat because the change hit peak neuroplasticity. Brain science underscores why this matters. The prefrontal cortex, the region handling adaptation, complex learning, impulse control, and future planning, continues maturing into the mid-20s. Studies in Nature Neuroscience and elsewhere confirm this extended window. Xennials were smack in that high plasticity phase when the tech landscape inverted. You were young enough to absorb smartphones, social platforms, and constant connectivity like second nature, yet old enough to carry clear memories of life before it. That creates a rare bilingual fluency. You can hold a face-to-face conversation without glancing at your phone every few seconds, but you also don't freeze when new software drops. You know what it feels like to be truly unreachable for hours or days, an experience younger generations rarely encounter. At the same time, you're not intimidated by digital tools the way some older cohorts can be. This dual vantage point influences privacy in subtle but profound ways. Your embarrassing moments, the bad haircut, the awkward middle school crush, the regrettable party behavior, faded into oral history rather than permanent digital records. Memories could evolve, get retold with humor, soften over time, just as human recollection naturally does. Without exhaustive photo evidence or searchable archives, your past wasn't frozen in amber. Research on autobiographical memory shows we edit and reconstruct experiences fluidly, keeping what's salient, letting the rest blur. Constant documentation disrupts that organic process in ways we're only beginning to map psychologically. Then layer in the economic timing. Many Xennials entered the workforce right around the 2008 financial crisis, prime career launch years marked by layoffs, stalled opportunities, and instability. Studies on financial trauma during emerging adulthood indicate these shocks leave lasting imprints, heightened caution around money, security, and risk, A baseline, what if it collapses again, undercurrent, even when things stabilize? You've mastered rapid adaptation because you had no choice, yet that same history can seed quiet vigilance. Culturally, you carry Gen X's self-reliance and skepticism, raised before helicopter parenting took hold, when parents often didn't know your exact location for hours and independence was the default. You solved problems solo, entertained yourself, tolerated frustration without instant rescue. Yet you hit adulthood amid the internet's utopian early phase when connectivity promised to solve isolation and democratize everything before the complications, mental health toll, misinformation, attention fragmentation became obvious. The result is a paradoxical makeup, independent yet adaptable, skeptical yet open to possibility, analog-rooted yet digitally fluent. You hold contradictions comfortably, neither fully nostalgic for the past nor blindly optimistic for the future. You recognize the trade-offs: deeper presence and patience from unmediated life versus unprecedented access, connection, and efficiency now. That in-betweenness can feel isolating too. Too young for some Gen X touchstones, too old for millennial defaults. You don't slot neatly into broad generational narratives that pit cynicism against optimism, but the Xennial lens might be one of the most useful in a world of non-stop flux. Having navigated one seismic transition equips you to handle ongoing change without losing your core. You've learned to adapt while retaining what matters from before. You're not a glitch in the generational map. You're a bridge. Proof that living through radical shifts during formative years builds resilience, perspective, and a quiet ability to see both sides. If this description hits close to home, consider subscribing. These deep explorations into overlooked psychological layers is what this channel is about. If you'd like to support more of this kind of content, the join button for channel membership is there. Your help keeps it going. I've got other videos lined up that dig into similar themes. I think you'll find them resonant too. See you in the next one.